seen that the data transmission will be done only in one direction. That's why there is no worry of missing the frame, no chance of error. It is a perfect channel. But what is happening here? It consumes more time. So that's why we are now moving for the next one, which is called as stop and wait, where we are getting back an acknowledgement from receiver. So this concept we call it, this protocol we named it as stop and wait protocol. Now, after this stop and wait protocol, whatever the topics we have discussed under these two, they all comes under elementary deading protocols. In this, the maximum they use for simplex and full duplex. But now, the protocols whatever we are discussing that is called as sliding window protocols. These sliding window protocols is going to follow up with a mechanism called unidirectional, that is full duplex. Full duplex means nothing but you know that we have two separate communication channels. That is for approach 1, where we discussed in our stop and wait protocol. Previously, we have discussed about stop and wait, right? So, in stop and wait, along with one communication channel, you are sending a data, and another communication channel we are using for getting back an acknowledgement for that particular frame. So like that, we maintained with two separate communication channels. If you maintain with two separate communication channels, what is the problem present here? That is, bandwidth is wasted and cost is becoming more. Okay, so that's why now we have another approaches for full duplex system, that in the present sliding window protocol, we are discussing about approach 3, which is called as piggybacking. So what is piggybacking? Attaching an acknowledgement to the next outgoing data frame is called as piggybacking. That means you are sending your data from sender to receiver. Okay. When receiver receives your data, again he is sending back acknowledgement separately. This is wastage of frame and wastage of bandwidth. So, we are doing with a new concept that is called as piggybacking. According to piggybacking, suppose if A sends to B receives data. Now B is not separately sending acknowledgement to A. B sends acknowledgement to A along with the data what it is sending from B to A. So like that, we are going to attach an acknowledgement along with the next outgoing frame. That concept we call it as piggybacking. That we had a discussion on this piggybacking also, that there will be a temporary delay transmission of outgoing acknowledgement so that they will be hooked onto the next outgoing data frame. So because of this, you can say the bandwidth. But we also have some complications, that means some problems. You may have a doubt. How longer time the sender has to wait for the acknowledgement? If longer than sender time period, then sender what will do? Retransmits. So how to overcome this? Means suppose if a new packet arrives quickly, then piggyback. Otherwise, send a separate frame for acknowledgement. That is about piggybacking concept. Okay, is the voice everybody audible? Any problem? Is my voice audible to everyone? That's about piggybacking, and in this piggybacking, we are going to effect with a problem also. Now we discuss about sliding window protocols. Under sliding window protocols, we have totally three protocols. How many? Three protocols. The first protocol is called as one bit sliding window protocol. Second one called as go back in protocol. The third one called it as select repeat protocol. Okay. These three protocols comes under bidirectional protocol. Bidirectional means what? At same time, you can send data in both directions. That is called as bidirectional protocols. Now, a one-bit sliding window protocol. That is the first one. And second one is go back and third one is selective repeat. Now we'll see one by one. So before going to start up with this, you all know that the sliding window protocol maintains a windows at both sender side and receiver side. So at sender side, why we will maintain a window? In order to make transmit and how to transmit those frames. So that means sequence has to be verified by the sender. So this sender window is going to end with the information about the frame they are going to transmit. And what about receiver? The receiver side window is going to maintain with a window where it is going to maintain the information about the received frame and to which frame they have transmitted the acknowledgement. So that information will be held in this concept. Now the first one is one-bit sliding window protocol. Actually, what is the meaning of one-bit sliding window protocol? Means sending one frame at a time and waiting for acknowledgement and again sending with another frame. This concept we call it as one-bit sliding window protocol. Why? Because here you are going to follow with a mechanism similar to stop and wait protocol. That means at a time you are sending one frame, you are waiting for some time to get back an acknowledgement. Once you get acknowledgement, then again you are sending with next frame. That means at a time we are not transmitting more than one frame here. So that's why we are naming it as one-bit sliding window protocol. Now, according to this one-bit sliding window protocol, already I had explained you that situation at sender and receiver side initially how it could be. Initially, sender is getting ready for the data to send to receiver, and receiver will be in the mode of waiting for data. Once the sender is ready and it is transmitted, this will be the case. And if it is transmitted and the receiver receives the data, and this will be the situation at receiver side. And once it is completed, the receiver's duty is to send back acknowledgement. So when it receives acknowledgement, again the sender will become to the normal state, that is initial state, getting ready for next frame to send. So this phenomena is going to shown here with some four diagrams. Like those four diagrams are named as A, B, C, D. Okay, combinedly this is called as A. It is at sender and receiver side. Similarly, B at sender and receiver side, C at sender and receiver side, and D at sender and receiver side. So this phenomena will show in one-bit window protocol. We also have seen about this one-bit sliding window protocol, how you are sending your data from sender A to receiver B. So here it is shown with some brackets given with 0, 1, A0. They are representing for sequence number and acknowledgement of the previous frame. So this here are shown with two cases. One is normal case, the another one is abnormal case. When we follow with normal case, there is no chance of missing the data frames. But when you go for abnormal case, sometimes you may miss with frames and you need to resend them again, which is a wastage of bandwidth. So that's why it would be better for us to go for one-bit sliding window protocol, but it takes some time. Okay. So that is about one-bit sliding window protocol, and it has its merits and demerits. After that, we have the second protocol called as Go Back N protocol. So according to this Go Back N protocol, what we are doing. Okay, just observe the diagram carefully, everybody. Here you are sending with 0 frame or 0th packet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But 0th frame is received by receiver and acknowledged. First frame or first packet is received and acknowledged. But second packet is affected with error. So the receiver is not accepting our packet. Then after second packet, how many number of packets are coming even though they are correct. They are not affected with error but they all are discarded by the receiver. So this concept is called as what? Go back here. Once any packet is affected with error, after that packet, how many number of packets are coming from sender? All those packets are discarded by receiver. This is go back here. Now what has to be done by sender? Sender will find out that second packet is affected with error and again retransmits the same packet. Along with it, the sender has to retransmit the remaining all frames or packets which is discarded by receiver. So again 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now they are accepted because second frame is accepted. So this concept is called as go back here. But what is happening with this? Even though there is no errors in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 packets, but they have to be retransmitted by the sender, which is the wastage of time and bandwidth. So that's why we are now moving for the next protocol, which is called as selective repeat protocol. Selective repeat. That means, according to this present protocol, once there is an error, you are discarding the remaining all packets, but it is not correct strategy. So we have the next protocol called as select repeat protocol. That means, see the example here. Suppose here second packet is affected with error. So you are sending this second packet with negative acknowledgement to the sender. And remaining 3, 4, 5, they are buffered here. They are not rejected. They have been accepted but stored in buffer. Okay. Now the sender will see this negative acknowledgement and retransmits the same second packet only, but not remaining 3, 4, 5 because they are accepted by the receiver. So in this, a packet which is affected with error, only that particular packet is going to be retransmitted by the sender, but not all the packets. So this protocol is better than the previous protocol what we have seen, that is go back N. So this is about selective repeat with NAK. NAK here stands for negative acknowledgement. So what is the meaning of this negative acknowledgement? Means if your packet is not exactly correct, if it is affected with error, you are intimating to the sender with a NAK, negative acknowledgement. If you are getting with negative acknowledgement means the packet is not accepted by receiver. The sender has to resend the same packet. That is the concept of negative acknowledgement. Suppose if your data is correct and it is accepted, now you are sending with positive acknowledgement. If you are getting with positive acknowledgement, there is no need of retransmitting the same packet. That concept we call it as here selective repeat with NAK. So when we compare with previous protocol, this is better. Why? Because here you are only retransmitting the packet which is affected with error, but not all the packets. So this phenomena we call it as selective repeat with negative acknowledgement. So till here, if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me. Then I'll continue with next topic. So with this, we close our elementary data link protocols and sliding window protocols. If you have any doubts in this, you can ask me. I'll give you 5 minutes of time. Then I'll start with MAC sublayer. No doubts? Okay. So now I'll ask you some questions. Okay, then I'll continue with the questions. So name the reference models what we have discussed so far. Name the reference models. Name the reference models. How many layers are there in OSI reference model?
7.
Name the reference models.
Application layer, presentation layer, system layer,
No, no, listen my question. Reference models.
TCP/IP OSI model name.
Very good. Okay. So we have two types, OSI and TCP/IP. According to TCP/IP, totally we have how many layers? TCP/IP. Okay. And one more question. Name some of the protocols present in the application layer of TCP/IP. Name some protocols present in application layer of TCP/IP. Okay, some of you have given the references Telnet, FTP, SNMP, okay, so HTTP. So all these are the protocols present in the application layer of our TCP/IP. So now, after that, we have a discussion on data and signals, right? Now, when you are sending your data, generally, in which format the data is transmitted in the physical medium? In which way data is transmitted in the physical medium? Only one or two people are giving answers. What about remaining people? Huh? You have a mic problem, you can chat there. You can send your answer there, no problem. So, in the form of signals, the data is transmitted from sender to receiver in the physical medium. Of course, somebody said bits. Bit is nothing but internally it is converted to voltage. Zeros are work, that is up and down voltage indicating for 1 and 0 bits. That is in the form of signals, data is transmitted. Now coming for the next question. So when we have a discussion on our data link layer, you please mention the services what the data link layer provides. Any two services. Tell me any two services. Okay, very good framing. Still, error controlling, nothing but error detection. Okay, good. Still, flow control, very good. Still, we had some more. What are those? One more question. Always, which layers provide services to which layers? You have to fill them. Always, Which layers provide services to which layers? That is my question. Very good. Lower layers provide services to its upper layers. Now, data link layer provides services to which layer? Data link layer provides services to very good. Not physical layer, ma. It is network layer. Why? Because the upper layer to data link layer is which one? Network layer. That's why always lower layers provide services to its upper layers. It may be at center side or it may be at receiver side. Don't bother about it. So that's why. Suppose if you come across physical layer provides services to which layer? Data link layer. Very good. Now coming for transport layer. Transport layers provide services to which layer? Very good. Sessional layer. Now sessional layer provides services to presentation. Good. Okay, like that. Always lower layers provide services to its upper layers. Okay, that is a concept. Now after that, we have a discussion on our data link layer. Data link layer services, the topics whatever we are discussing so far, they all comes under the services of data link layer. That is how to frame and not only that, how to find out the errors, okay, and how to control the flow. Now the protocols whatever we have discussed, elementary and sliding window, they are the protocols present in data link layer. So this is our data link layer concept. We also have a small pending in this concept, that is finding the error by using Hamming codes and CRC, cyclic redundancy check. These two methods I have to explain for you. Okay, and definitely I will post that video also in the classroom. You please go through that. Then for your examination, uh, the concepts will be up to MAC sublayer. Today I'll complete that topic, and tomorrow also we had a class from 3 to 4, right, for your people. Reception day number class only Friday afternoon 3 to 4 అనుకుంటాను. So, so afterwards we'll continue with that. Now we'll start it next topic. That is MAC sublayer. Just wait for 1 minute. I'll share the PPT. Okay. So now we'll discuss about the MAC sublayer. What do you mean by MAC? Medium access control sublayer. Medium access control sublayer. So now we will discuss about this medium access control sublayer. This is a part of data link layer only, ma. This is a part of data link layer. Now, why we need this MAC layer, medium access control sublayer? Nothing but data link layer is divided into two parts. The first part we call it as MAC sublayer. The second part we call it as LLC, logical link layer. Okay, that is logical link control sublayer. Totally, data link layer have been classified into two parts. That is MAC sublayer and LLC sublayer. Now we are discussing about MAC sublayer. Full form of MAC, that is medium access control sublayer. In short form we call it as MAC layer. MAC. But the full form of MAC is medium access control sublayer. Now the MAC sublayer is especially important in LANs. Why? Because the wireless whatever data transmission you are going to perform, that is completely broadcasting. So in this broadcasting we need the that means a lot of importance is there for our MAC sublayer. Now we'll see why it is more important and what are the different protocols we have designed for this MAC sublayer. So that is our today's topic. But before going to start up with that, you must know what is a channel allocation problem. Okay, that is our today's topic. So first one, that is the channel allocation problem. Listen carefully. So generally, what do you mean by channel allocation? So this channel allocation is a problem if number of users are more in number. So how to solve the problem means we have two types of channel allocations. One is static channel allocation. The second one is dynamic channel allocation. Okay. Now we will discuss about static channel allocation. Then we'll go for dynamic channel allocation. Okay. Just wait for 2 minutes. Okay. Now you just observe this concept MAC layer. So what is our present problem? Channel allocation problem. Now according to this static channel allocation, what we are doing is if there are n users, the bandwidth is divided into n equal sized portion with each user being assigned one portion. Since each user has a private frequency band, there is now no interference among the users. That means, suppose we had some n number of users, the bandwidth is divided into n equal sized portions and assigned for each and every user. So with that, what will happen? Each and every user has his own independent bandwidth and they can use them. There is no chance of interfering one with another. Okay. Now, okay, you are dividing your bandwidth into some n equal sized portions. What is the advantage with this and what is the disadvantage with this? Okay. For example, I said that for CSC students, let us assume you are here itself. Totally, we have how many seats? 180 seats. Totally 180 seats for CSC. That means how many students can enter into the college in that year? Only 180 students can enter. Suppose if 181 student, if some other extra person enters into the college, can we arrange a seat for that student? Come on, answer to my question. Can we arrange a seat for that person who is extra? No, it's not possible. So, like that, here what is happening? You have n users. So, your available bandwidth is also divided into n equal sized portions. That means only that n number of users can use it without any problem. That is advantage. What is disadvantage here? Suppose if n plus 1 user, n plus 1 user means extra person enters here, we are unable to provide bandwidth for that person. That is a drawback. And one more drawback, suppose we have 180 seats allocated for 180 students. Suppose if some two to three students want to discontinue their BTech, so at that time, what we will do is they have to pay the fee for 4 years, then they can get their certificates. Why? Because that is wastage. Similarly, if the bandwidth is divided for n users, okay, if n users are using, okay, only some n minus 1 users are using. For example, 10 people are there. If 10 people are using, okay, only 5 people are using. Remaining 5 people, they are not using the bandwidth. Okay, at the time what will happen? That 5 people's bandwidth will be wasted. It cannot be used by any others. So that is called as static channel allocation. That is, suppose if number of users either increase or decrease, you are unable to provide that elasticity. That means if increases you cannot provide, if decreases we cannot. So that is a problem called static channel allocation problem present in static channel allocation. So with this you are solving a problem, but what is happening? If extra person enters into the network, you are unable to provide. If a person who is in the network does not use that, you are unable to utilize that for another person. So that is a drawback present in the static channel allocation. So that's why we are now moving for our dynamic channel allocation. So that is our next topic, dynamic channel allocation. So of course, for dynamic channel, I'll explain you one by one how to. So actually, we have here given with 5 key assumptions. Okay. So we have discussed about static channel allocation. In this, if you have any doubts, you please ask me. Any doubts in this topic? Okay. So anyhow, I'll ask some more questions on this topic. You please try to answer to my questions. Name some elementary data link protocols. Name some elementary data link protocols. I should get answers from more number of students. Sliding window protocols. Sorry, elementary data link protocols first. Only one student has given me the answer. What about remaining? Huh? Just now I have explained from 3 days onwards I used to explain the same topic. Only two students are giving answers to my questions. Huh? What about remaining people? Totally 75 students are there here. Huh? At least I should get answer from 30 students, right? Now name that sliding window protocols. Expecting more answers from you. Sliding window protocols. Type all the three names, then send me. Don't send separately one by one. We have totally three sliding window protocols. You just type them and send me. ನಾನು ಅಡುಗು చూసి దాన్ని చెప్పు అది ఇస్తాను Only 3 students have responded to my question. I'm waiting for some more responses. MS class చెప్పుకుంటూ పోతే అటు పక్క వింటున్నారా వినలేదా most of the students are giving only 2. So, but we have sliding window protocols totally 3 marks. Why you people are forgetting that 1-bit sliding window protocol? That is the first one. Second one, go back in. Third one, selective repeat. Now tell me, what is a piggybacking? Piggybacking. Huh? Why you are not responding? Piggybacking. I have told you 20 times. I think so. Huh? What is piggybacking? So nobody is answering to my question. Piggybacking. Huh? Only one student had sent me the answer. Okay, anyhow, I'll continue the topic. So, we have discussed so far about static channel allocation. Now, what is this dynamic channel allocation? Here are given with assumptions for dynamic channel allocation. There are totally 5 key assumptions. Totally, how many key assumptions? 5 key assumptions, ma'am. So when we see these 5 key assumptions here, the thing that is very important, remember this. Here it is mentioned as independent traffic, but you may also call it as station model. What we call it as station model. So what is the meaning of station model? Okay, that is the thing what we will discuss it now. Okay, so there are totally with 5 key assumptions. The first key assumption is called as station model. Here it is mentioned as independent traffic. You can also call it like this, but according to our textbook, we are calling it as station model. So what is the concept of station model? Means suppose if any one user is ready with data frame, you block the entire station until that frame is transmitted by the node. That concept is called as station model. Why we are naming it as station model? Suppose when a train leaves from station, what we will do? We'll be having some railway gates, right? That means you are going to block the places where the traffic moves in order to avoid the accidents, right? Similarly, here also the station model is going to apply the same phenomena that suppose you have n users, among n users, if one user is ready to send data, at that time we will block the entire station. That means only that single node can send the data, no other can send the data at that time. So because of that, what will happen? There is no chance for collision. Collision means what? When you are sending a frame, if your friend is also sending a frame to same node, what will happen? They both will get collide. That is leading for collisions. Okay, actually this is the new topic for you, that collisions you may not have heard till here in the networks. So what is this collision means? Just now I told you. Suppose if train is passing on the same track, if another train comes, what will happen? They both get collide. The accident will take place. Similarly, if you are sending your frame and your friend is also sending some frame to the same node, they both are on same path. What will happen? They both get collide and it is going to be damaged. Now, the first assumption we are calling it as station model. According to the station model, once any node is ready with data frame, at that time you try to block the entire station until that frame is transmitted. Now, if the frame is transmitted, then you can unblock the station. Now, next, suppose next user is ready with data. Again, he can send the data. Now, again, the station is blocked. Because of this, what is happening? Tell me. Of course, you are going to overcome the collisions. But what will be the problem with this? Come on, answer to my question. What will be the problem to this with this? ఇలా చేయడం వల్ల ప్రాబ్లం ఏమవుతుందమ్మా? కొలిషన్స్ అయితే మనం ఓవర్కమ్ చేస్తున్నాం, బట్ డిఫెక్ట్ ఏంటి, డ్రాబ్యాక్ ఏంటి? మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైమ్ ఈస్ వేస్టెడ్ కదా. మనం కూడా రైల్వే గేట్ దగ్గర చాలాసేపు వెయిట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైమ్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి వేస్టెడ్. So like that, if you block, what will happen? Most of the time will be wasted. But you are going to avoid the collisions. Then we had the next one, which is called as single channel assumption. So what is this single channel means? Don't think about multiple channels. How many number of users are there? Allow them to access, to send data, to receive data through a single channel. Then there is no chance for collisions. This assumption is called as single channel assumption. దీన్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే సింగిల్ ఛానల్ అజంప్షన్ అంటాం. But it is not possible. Why? Because if your network contains some 10 nodes, 20 nodes, okay. But nowadays, because of increasing population, increasing usage of networking system, each and every network consists of some millions of nodes. Then how can you control that millions of nodes with a single channel? That is wrong. But it is also given as an assumption to overcome the problems. Now coming for third one, that is collision, observable collisions or collision model. According to this collision model, what is means? Which station is having data, let them send. Okay. If collision occurs, let collision be happen and again recover from collision. That concept is called as observable collisions or collision model, which is our third assumption. Okay, totally here 5 assumptions are there. First, I am discussing about independent traffic or station model. Second one, single channel assumption. Third one is observable collisions or collision model. According to collision model, what is the meaning? just like how you people write your examination, similar to that. రాద్దాము, okay, fail అయితే మళ్ళీ సప్లీ రాద్దాం, okay. So like that, this assumption is there. What is that observable collision is? You try to send your friend. If collision occurs, let it happen and again recover from collision. That concept is similar to your concept. Some people will write exams like that only, but I am not blaming all the students. Some people, okay, we do our best. If fail, again we'll write the subject. But that's not correct. We have to put efforts not to be in supply list. Okay. But most of the students are not doing like that. Only few students will be focusing on that. So like that, this collision model is also one of the assumptions made by some of the scientists that okay, you send your friends if collision happen, let it happen and recover from collisions. It is also not good. Next, coming for the next assumption, we have here continuous time and slotted timer. Listen carefully. What do you mean by continuous time? Continuous time is, suppose you are ready with your frame, you can send at any time. At any time, you can send your data. There is no restricted time. But slotted time means for each and every user, we are given with a particular slots. Particular slots. So in that slot, only that user can use the slot. Okay, that is called as slotted time. Now, continuous time means at any time you can send your data. Okay. What is slotted time? Only one particular slot is given for each and every node so that in that particular time only that node has to send the data. Of course, with this we can avoid the collisions. But what is the problem with this? Slotted time, just like similar to timetable. For example, how we have a timetable from 10 to 12 one class, from 2 to 4 another class, 2 to 3 one class, 3 to 4, like that slots. For each and every node, we are giving with a slot. So with that slotted time, we are having advantage that we are going to overcome the collision. But of course, we also have drawback. Can you anyone guess that drawback? మీరు ఎవరైనా ఒక్కనే గెస్ చేసి నాకు చెప్పగలరా స్లాటెడ్ టైంలో ఉన్న డ్రాబ్యాక్ ఏంటో? ట్రై చేయండి, తప్పపోయినా పర్లేదు, ఇబ్బంది లేదు, చెప్పండి. Are you getting my point or not? Okay, starter time means that slot is used only by that node. Okay. What will be the drawback with this? Suppose if that node is not ready with data, that slot is going to be wasted. That slot we cannot use it for another node. Okay. So that is the drawback present in slotted time. Okay. So that is slotted time. Now we have our fifth assumption called as fifth A, carrier sense, and fifth B is our no carrier sense. What do you mean by carrier sense? Okay, we have discussed about all the above topics, how to overcome the collisions. Now we have the last assumption here, carrier sense. For example, when we are entering into the house of any our relatives, generally what we will do, we will knock the door, then we will enter. Similarly, when class is going on, if you want to enter into the class in offline mode, will you enter into the class directly or will you ask the permission for the concerned staff members? We'll ask the permission, right? That is nothing but called as sensing, getting permission. Now, what is this carrier sense? Suppose you have data with you to send to your friend. Before sending your data, you first send a request to them. Okay? If your friend is free, he will respond to your request. Okay, you can send. Now you can send your data. So with this, what will happen? You are coming to know that whether your friend is busy or idle. If your friend is busy, you are not responded with, you are not getting reply. So you wait for some more time. Again you send the channel. Again you send a request. Send the channel is not touching the channel. Sending some message, request. Okay. Again if he is busy, he will reply to you that okay now you can send. Now you can send. Suppose if he is busy, he will send you some busy tone you are going to get, so you have to wait. Okay, so like that we call it as carrier sense. So because of this carrier sense also, you can avoid these collisions to most extent. Okay, now coming for next one, which is called as no carrier sense. So what do you mean by no carrier sense? No sensing channel, nothing. If you have data, you send it. If collision occur, let it happen and again resend the same data. That concept is called as no carrier sense. You are not at all sensing the channel. So these are the five key assumptions of our dynamic channel allocation. If you have any doubts in these five key assumptions, you can ask me, that I will repeat the topic. Anyone, if you have any doubts, you please ask me. No doubts? Okay, once again I'll repeat this. So totally we have how many key assumptions for dynamic channel means five key assumptions. First one is called as station model. Second one is single channel assumption. Third one is collision assumption or collision model. And fourth one is 4A continuous time, 4B slotted time, 5A carrier sense, 5B no carrier sense. So these are the five key assumptions of our dynamic channel allocation. So now according to this, what is the station model means? When any node is ready to send a frame, they can send until it is going to send, the entire station is going to be blocked. So this is called as station model. And what is single channel assumption? If any number of users present, all those are treated as a single channel and try to send data through this single channel. So because of this, no chance for collisions and errors, but most of the time is going to be wasted. Now, what is this collision model? So according to collision model, if you have a frame, you send it. If collision occurs, let it be happen and again recover from collision and again retransmit. Thus, that concept we call it as collision model. Now, what is continuous time? At any time, if you have a frame, you can send which is called as continuous time. But slotted time means if that means any number of nodes present in a network, they are given with particular slot. Only that slot is used by the user and only the user can send their data in that particular slot. That is called as slotted time. Next, fifth one, 5A, carrier sense. Before sending your data, you try to sense the channel. Okay, that is called as carrier sense. Next, what about no carrier sense? That means no sensing, nothing. Okay, but in carrier sense, what we are doing, we are going to send first request. If the receiver is idle, he will respond to you and he will accept your data. Now you can send your data. Otherwise, you have to wait for some more time. But in no carrier sense, you are not sensing nothing. You send your data, if he is free, he will accept. Otherwise, again resend the same data. That concept is called as no carrier sense. So these are the 5 key assumptions of dynamic channel allocation. Okay, so till here you have to write for your examination syllabus. ఇంతవరకు ఉంటుందమ్మా మీకు ఎగ్జామ్ సిలబస్. Okay, I think you all know the model paper. As usual, you will be given with some 20 bits for 5 marks and 8 questions will be given. You have to answer for 4 questions. 4 5s are 20, 20 plus 5 25 and 5 marks will be for your assignment. Total 30 marks. Okay, this is a pattern of your question paper and I think on 12th itself you had an examinations. So I had given you assignments, right? How many questions I had given from second unit? Two questions. You add two more questions now. Now write down. Are you ready? Take your paper and pen. Note down the questions. What is MAC sublayer? What is MAC sublayer? Explain the importance. Explain the importance of MAC sublayer. Importance of MAC sublayer. Okay, next question. Explain about sliding window protocols. Explain about sliding window protocols with neat diagram. With neat diagram. Okay, just wait for 5 minutes. I'll take attendance first. Okay, so totally you are given with how many questions from first and second units mark? 8 ఇచ్చాను కదా. Okay. See an exam when ma'am? When the examination will be? On which date? 14th. Okay. Okay, just wait. I'll share with some notes along with you, and we'll see. Is any difficulty for you? Okay, this is the PDF what I have sent for you, right? So this all comes under the first unit. So I think we have discussion on our first unit notes. Now we'll see the second unit. Okay. Now from here onwards, this is our second unit, introduction to data link layer. Okay. Now data link layer. So what will be the nodes and links of our data link layer? Services. From here onward, this is our syllabus. Data link layer services. Framing, flow control, error control. Okay. But actually condition control is also there, but we discussed this in our third unit one. See here, two sublayers. One is MAC, the other one is LLC or data link control. DLC also you can call it as. Now don't go through these addresses because it is not in your syllabus. Okay, just go through the framing techniques, error correction, error detection. Okay, then skip all this and come for error detection and correction. Types of errors: single bit and burst error. So I have told you what is single bit error and what is burst error also. Okay, so like that. Now detection versus correction. This is also included in your syllabus. Parity bit. Okay, you go through the parity bit. Next one is having distance. But I have to explain this. I'll explain this. Cyclic redundancy check is having code and cyclic redundancy check are very important now. Now don't come across all these topics. Okay. Data link control. Nothing but these are a part already we have studied about bit stuffing, byte stuffing, where you are getting with continuous 5 ones, you are placed with 0. Okay, that is the phenomena here. That is byte stuffing. All this comes under that only. Flow and error control, buffers. Next, connectionless means what? Connection oriented means what? Data link protocols means you have to explain about this. Simplex protocol, stop and wait protocol, and what is piggybacking concept. Then you have to explain about one bit sliding window protocol. You to regulate all this. Okay, these are not part of this. Okay, one bit sliding window protocol, then go back in protocol, then selective repeat protocol. All those comes under the sliding window protocols. Now this is MAC. That means MAC sublayer. Now I have to explain about the all these concept. What is Aloha? Okay, we will discuss this after the examinations. But according to your syllabus, after which topic you have to study means in this assumptions of our dynamic channel allocation, you have to read for your first bid examination. Any doubts regarding examination point of view? మీకు 8 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇచ్చాను కదా. ఆ 8 క్వశ్చన్స్ లిస్ట్ ఎవరో ఒకరు నాకు వాట్సాప్ పంపించండి ఆ క్వశ్చన్స్ లిస్ట్. తర్వాత పంపించండి. ఓకే, ఆ 8 క్వశ్చన్స్ బాగా చదవండి. Any more doubts? Up to MAC sublayer, channel allocation problem, static channel allocation, dynamic channel allocation. Okay, so up to that you have to study. Why? Because we will cover some bits from that static channel allocation and dynamic channel allocation bits. But questions point of view, you go through the 8 questions whatever I had given you for an assignment. Still any more doubts? Okay, if you have any doubts, you can call me and you can ask me. Later, you please send me the 8 questions whatever I had given you for assignment. Okay? Okay. Leave the class, and if anybody have doubt, you please stay and ask me.